Hello and welcome back to Pennyhill Junction. So it's been about 3 months since I last published a video here on YouTube, and that was a Meet the Fleet video of my new Class 33, which I got for my birthday, and a week prior to that I had my May layout update. So the purpose of this video really is to just get you up to speed with what's been happening over the last 3 months, and also take a look at my plans for the coming months, in particular the sort of autumn and early winter periods. Okay, so in terms of the layout itself, there's been absolutely no progress, I'm afraid to say. Reason being, of course, we're in the summer months, so it gets very hot up here in the loft, so that's prevented me coming up as often as I would have liked. Also been busy, obviously saving funds for family summer holidays. Also, I've got my twins starting secondary school soon, so a lot of money's been spent on school uniform, stationery, etc. I'm sure many of you have had a similar situation. And also, I'm just about to start a new job, so I've been spending the last couple of months transitioning out of my old job, obviously training and handing over my role to my successor. So a lot of that's taken up most of my time during the last 2 to 3 months. But what I have done up here in the loft, as I say, not in terms of progress, but just to keep you interested, sort of do bits and pieces when it's reasonably cool and comfortable up here in the loft, is I've basically given the layout and all my stock a sort of thorough clean. So that's, I've gone right across all the track and both the fiddle yard and the main layout, given all the track a good clean, and I've also sort of serviced and cleaned my full stock of locos, rolling stock, and multiple units, etc. And something else that I did recently, in fact in early July, not related to Pennyhill Junction layout itself, but I did get an opportunity to go along to the Warley Open Day in early July. Got an opportunity to meet several members of the Warley Model Railway Club. Also to look at some of their layouts that they had on display at the club. But one of the main reasons I went along was to follow some of the fellow YouTubers, many popular YouTubers who are competing on the day in a small diorama competition. The competition itself was absolutely fantastic and very inspiring, and I certainly took a lot from the day in terms of seeing what those guys can achieve in the space of 5 hours, and giving me the confidence now to hopefully start working on some scenic elements of Pennyhill Junction over the coming months. I think one of the things that I fall victim of at times is where I haven't done this and I'm still very new to the hobby. You know, there is a reservation about starting on some of the sort of scenic work, particularly the green areas of scenery, because I haven't done anything like that before. But seeing the guys in action, putting together these small dioramas, say, over such a short space of time, and seeing the end results was absolutely fantastic. On the day, I mean, all 4 teams performed incredibly well, all very unique and original dioramas. And yeah, to pick a winner from the 4 teams was a very difficult decision for the judges, I'm sure. But it was a successful day, and as I say, many of you have probably already seen videos on YouTube with individuals sharing highlights of their day at the event. So I didn't take any video footage at the event. I did take some stills, particularly of the dioramas themselves, which obviously were of great interest to myself. But of course, one of the objectives out of the diorama competition was to raise money for charity. and that the club certainly did. I say 3 of the 4 dioramas were sold off by auction, and the 4th one, I believe, the winning diorama from Callum and Adam will be auctioned off or raffled off during the National Railway Exhibition, which Warley host at the Birmingham NEC in November later this year. Another highlight for me on the day was the opportunity to get interviewed by one of the popular YouTubers, I'm sure many of you know, which is Richard from New Junction. So alongside me was Bob from N Trains and Tim Cooper from the Scrapline. And yeah, so we had the opportunity to be interviewed by Richard, so we could share our thoughts and experiences of the day itself. So I will put a link at the top of the screen to that particular video. So a great video by Richard, giving an overview of the event itself, and obviously towards the end there are several interviews, not only with the competitors in the Diorama competition, but as I say, some of us who attended merely as spectators, and an opportunity to take inspiration from, I guess, some of the best in the business. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier in the video, I haven't spent any money on the layout as such over the last 2 or 3 months. The last thing I purchased for Pennyhill Junction was in fact the loco. I say I purchased, it was actually a gift for me for my birthday back in May, and there were some other items that I got in addition to that. There were some various wagons for the heritage station, and also a water tower kit, the Great Western Railway's water tower kit, again, which will also go towards the heritage station. But in the last week, I have given myself a little treat, and I've just purchased. This is actually just come through the door yesterday, and that's just one of these. So this is Hornby Mark III TGS coach for my Great Western Railway HST sets. So I have already got a 2+7 HST set in the GWR green livery. I certainly won't be extending that to 8. My platform layout isn't really long enough. It will comfortably take a 2+7. But yeah, it won't take a 2+8 or a full formation. And as many of you know, the Great Western Railway, particularly in modern era today, you won't see the 8 car formations on the Great Western Main Line any longer. However, right down in the southwest, of course, there are the castle sets, the 2+4 formations, and I do have a First Great Western HST with 3 of the First Great Western Mark III TSOs. So what I did is I thought I'd make use of this, which was available through Cairnow. This is from the sort of second batch release of Mark III coaches from Hornby under the GWR livery. The original batch was released, I think, late in 2017 when the first GWR HST train pack was released, and then about 12 months later they released some additional coaches. So I got the original 5 coaches that were released, and I bought a couple of extra to make it up to a 2+7 set. And I've just picked this up today, yesterday, which come through the post is R4780A. You can just see the product information there. And I'm just going to add this to my First Great Western HST and coaches. So it'll be mixed livery, but it will give me a castle set, which will do until Hornby release the Mark III sliding doors in the GWR livery, hopefully later this year. Now, I had every intention of purchasing the latest GWR green HST pack, which has the Old Oak Common loco in there, 43093. But unfortunately, at the time that was released, I just didn't have the funds. So I believe they are flying off the shelves, so it might be very difficult for me to get one a little bit later in the year when I do have sufficient funds. But if they're available, I'll try and snap one up. But I do have on pre-order for later in the year a cross-country HST, also with the sliding door sets, and that will be another 2+7 set, which I hope to introduce to the layout before the end of the year. Okay, so what's in store then here at Pennyhill Junction for the remaining sort of 4.5 months of the year? I say not much will happen. I say definitely in terms of the layout progression for the remainder of August. One, we're still expecting probably some warm spells, so yeah, it does get quite uncomfortable up here in the loft, and I can generally just about bear with it for about an hour or so. But it's certainly not comfortable conditions for doing extensive work on the layout. So the plan will be to really sort of start off again in earnest in early September, but before then, I do have plans to release another video, hopefully in the next week or two, which will be a visit to a fellow YouTuber. I did mention his name earlier in the video, and that is Tim Cooper from the Scrapline. So I'll put some information in the description with regards to Tim's channel, so please do check it out. So Tim at the moment, like myself, has got a loft layout, and he is also representing the Great Western Main Line. However, his is between sort of 30 or 40 years back from mine. I say mine's modern era, mine's very much today, whereas Tim's is very much sort of 80s, early 90s, very much driven by Class 50s and the NSC livery, etc. So I do hope in the next week or two to pop over and see Tim. One of the reasons I'm popping over to Tim is because he's going to look into helping me out with a little wagon project that I have. So if I just grab this from the floor. So remember from my May update video when I did detail some of the presents I received for my birthday, one of the items I received is this brake van here. So yes, it's the BR Towed brake van. So it was originally advertised as ex-GWR, which I misread and thought it was already in GWR. However, I don't want to sort of I still want to put it to good use. So what I'm actually going to do is use this as perhaps a restoration wagon for the heritage station. So keep it in its current livery, but I'm going to send it over to Tim at the scrap line, who's going to, as I say, seriously weather this up, and then I can just sort of leave it in sidings as though it's a wagon which has been brought into the heritage station, looking to be restored back to its original colours in its GWR livery. So that's upcoming. As I say, when I visit Tim's, I'm going over there to obviously to drop this off so he can begin work on that, and hopefully I can present that to you at a later video. But another reason for going to see Tim is obviously to get a look at his layout. So I will be taking some of my modern day stock and hopefully get the opportunity to run that on Tim's layout, which of course is a representation, a very good representation I must add, of Exeter St David's, and obviously the Lara depot as well. So in addition to visiting Tim, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I do hope at some point in September to head north and visit Richard up at New Junction. So I've kindly had an invite which has been ongoing for a few months now, but obviously other things, other commitments have got in the way, but I am hopeful that I'll get up to see Richard at some point in September. And again, similar to what I've done, what I'm planning to do when I go and visit Tim and have a look at his layout. My intention will be to take some of my stock up there, and it will be an honour to have some of my fleet running around the fabulous New Junction layout. So again, thank you for the invite, Richard, and very much looking forward to coming up in the very near future. And so finally, what's to come on the layout for the remainder of 2019. As I say, the year got off to a very fast start. Obviously I made a difficult decision late last year, around sort of December 2019, to rip up the old Pennyhill Junction. Fortunately, it hadn't progressed too far. I'd pretty much, I'd laid all the track, and I've got the platforms down, and they had been pretty much finished off, and I was just in the process of then really starting to sort of build up the platform on the old layout. Certainly a decision that I don't regret. I think certainly the introduction of a fiddle yard is really improved my enjoyment of just coming up here and running trains. It's great to have all my stock out, already in formation, and I can just bring locos on and off the main line with relative ease. I've got three main loops now to run trains on, which is more than sufficient for me, and it still leaves plenty of opportunity to do a lot of sort of landscaping, scenery and detailing, etc. But as I say, similar to what happened last year, and probably what happened ongoing over the coming years, is during these summer months, things will always die off. I think it's common within the hobby, particularly those with a loft layout, that things die down just because the conditions become almost impossible to work in. But as I said, we're getting into September very soon, and then I believe I'll really be able to make some significant progress again. One of the things I did mention, in fact, on my interview, I mentioned I had an interview on Pennyhill Junction's video on the Warley Open Day. One of the things I mentioned in that interview is, again, how inspired I was by the dioramas that were built during that competition that particular day, over the very sort of short 5-hour period. So it made me think, is that something that I need to do to help me to develop my skills, to grow in confidence before I put things onto the layout here? Well, I thought, one thing I don't want to do is delay progress on the layout any further. So what I'm going to focus on, I think, from September is, even though I've been doing the main station area up until now, and my last update video in May, I was progressing quite nicely on the track weathering and ballasting through the station. I've got the base platforms down, ready to be detailed, but I think I'm going to switch my attention over to the opposite side of the layout now and just focus on the heritage station. It's a small area of the layout, and it's an area, as I say, I can work on as if it was a diorama and really sort of focus on the scenic work, the detailing, etc. And if things do go wrong, it'll be very, very easy to just rip things up and start again. Whereas if I do it on the main layout, things become a little bit more of a challenge. So I think that's going to be my focus for particularly the remainder of this year and probably into next year, is that I'll focus on that heritage station area and try and complete in the next sort of 6 to 8 months one full scenic area of the layout, which will become initially the focal point of Pennyhill Junction. I probably will, occasionally sort of dip back into the main station. As many of you know, it is going to be a representation, or a loose representation, of Newton Abbot Station, and I'm very keen to get it as detailed as possible. So one of the things I want to do is obviously get a trip down to Newton Abbot, so I can take a number of reference sort of photos and videos, etc. So again, that's something I plan to do before the end of the year. But once I have that reference material, I can then start to really sort of do some of the finer details and start to build out that station. So if I find that I'm focusing maybe a couple of months on the heritage station, I do want to step away from it for a couple of weeks, then I might dip back into the mainline station as well, just to do a little bit of progress. But primarily my focus, I think, over the next 6 to 8 months in particular, will be the heritage station. Okay, so that's about all for this video. I think I've waffled on for long enough now, but I just wanted to take an opportunity really to give you guys an update in terms of what I have and what I haven't been doing, and of course let you know that I'm obviously still on the scene, and things are going to start to pick up very soon. The motivation is certainly still there, and if I haven't been progressing so much on the layout, I've certainly learnt a lot over the last 2 or 3 months by continuing to watch obviously fellow YouTubers. I certainly haven't lost interest in the hobby during the 3 months. And obviously the trip to the Warley Open Day as well in early July again left me sort of full of inspiration and motivation to really progress on my own layout now. So yes, we're not far away now from September. So as I said, things will start to progress, hopefully much quicker, and the video updates will be a lot more regular. So thanks for bearing with me, yeah, look forward to catching up again very soon. So take care and bye for now.